Jeffrey Walt, Editor-in-Chief of Retail Media IQ. Welcome to our coffee chat. Today we're thrilled to be talking with Isaac Shapiro, co-founder and CEO of Cleanlogic. Isaac, great to see you.
Jeff, thanks for having me.
Let's begin by just talking about what Cleanlogic is and does, and what was your vision? What gaps did you see in the marketplace when you decided to found the company?
Yeah, so Cleanlogic is a purpose-driven brand of bath and skincare tools. We're known for our unique exfoliating fabric. Our mission is to be really good people who make a really good product that gets you clean, and part of that whole mission is about advancing the lives of individuals with disabilities. One of the things that really inspired us to be in this category were two things. One, my mother, she's been blind since age 7. She immigrated from Mexico, so you know the Mexican culture, Latin culture. It's all about these natural loofahs in your house that just collect a lot of mold, but they're very harsh. And I grew up with them always wondering, like, how do they use these things? They're so harsh. And then as we got into the category of thinking about bath, it was like these mesh sponges that we're selling, or like a Korean bath cloth. And so we really wanted to fill a gap, bring more functional products. And we really focused on like everyday exfoliating. There's a lot of topic of how many times you can exfoliate. But what we felt was, hey, we have a product that I'm using every day that I feel like is helping with my skin and making it smoother. So these are like our washcloths that stretch, get your fabric. So those are really what drove us. And then on the purpose side, going back to my mom, being blind since age 7, she created a tech training program to help blind people gain employment. And that was really my inspiration and company that we launched in college. It evolved. It took, 4 or 5 years. We're in food and wine. But when we, really wanted to invest in creating a brand, it was really Cleanlogic that helped us get there. And I think another inspiration was the Susan B. Komen ribbon, where you got to see products brands taking on a mission around cancer. And so we really wanted to do something different where, we own a brand that is a really good product, and then funding it, giving a percentage of our profits to our foundation, which is the Inspiration Foundation, which we launched with Cleanlogic to honor my mom's work and continue her work and fund tech training programs. And then, that's where we're also evolving even to a media company and building content, because we know content is such an important part of building brand. And so that's a new component. And we call it 3 companies, 1 mission, and how we're really trying to drive great product and also a mission that makes an impact in the disability community.
Tell me a little bit how the vision of these products has evolved over time.
I think when we started, I'm going to start with the accessibility, right? Because I think that's a hot topic today. So when we launched the product, we launched the Inspiration Foundation, and one of the ways we thought about being different was making our packaging accessible by adding Braille to our packaging. So today, and at least at the time, 12% of people with vision loss read Braille. And so just putting that and putting a statement on accessibility, because what we learned, Braille had so much more than just, it's functional for a blind person. It created something that people see it, that's normal. And so those are the things that we learned. And then when you go to the product, it's really about listening to your customer. And one of the things that I've learned is be focused and be good at what you do. We were a little bit of the crazy serial entrepreneurs, my business partner Mike and I. So we've been in a lot of categories, from mothballs and pest control, you name it, we've sold it. And so we're really been focused on being the best in bath. We, own our factory, and that gave us the knowledge of how to listen to the consumer. And we started learning that in bath tools, you just think about it as lathering. When body wash became a boom in the early 2000s, a tool is what helped create lather, and the body wash brands would say, hey, use a tool or use a washcloth or loofah to create lather. So that's what makes you feel clean. But where we've evolved is saying, hey, we want you to exfoliate, remove dead skin cells. But then we learned in different parts of the world, like in Japan, they like it really soft and it's like a silk texture. So that helped us evolve into launching what we call our daily cleanse fabric, where you want to use that to create lather, but you still have a little bit of that texture. So what we're really trying to prove, and two components of our category today is, one, we belong as close to the body wash set as possible because they go hand in hand, like peanut butter and jelly, like that's what makes you feel clean. And then what we are proving, because for years I've been trying to tell people in the beauty industry, like, hey, we're a bath and skincare tool. Like, you can't bring skincare into the bath, but we are, because we see that's part of what makes you feel clean. It's part of what the skin, and that's what we're trying to solve for when you're creating skincare. So we really have proven that the tools that you use are just as important as the serums or the creams that you're using.
You mentioned Braille on the packaging. What other tools do you use to make your products stand out on the shelf?
A couple of things we did. I think, one, we really focusing on brand. We really had to understand what branding is about, like competing. When we started getting placement in the body wash set, we realized we were competing with the biggest brands, and they have experts. And so we ended up working with an agency that my wife had worked with, Applied Design, and we really worked on building the brand, because we had a great name, but we couldn't really, there was a lot of confusing messages. We had a lot of different packaging. And so the key thing is we built a system to really communicate the brand, qualities, and then the mission behind it, because it was confusing. And so I think that was an important component to winning and what you're doing. And so I think that is my biggest thing, is like, are you want to be a brand, but are you really investing in what it takes? And it's not just, hiring, someone that can create great graphics. It's really building a system and the mission, and like understanding how the consumer processes information on a shelf or digitally.
Your company, Cleanlogic, is committed to sustainability and sustainable products. How do you balance the need to do that with the need for high performance products?
I just want to start by saying we just got Cert B certified. That took us years to get done. And what's really the accomplishment, and just a huge shout out to the team, is when people launch Cert B, they're launching a company that says, I'm going to do this. And you can like build that in the system. We've been in business for 25 years. We've had a factory for over 15 years. So we didn't have all these components. So we had to really work to get there. So we're really proud of the piece that I'm gonna call it the ESG that we're all trying to figure out. And I think, sustainability is where we need to keep that conversation, because that's the balance. Like when you start using words like natural, like what does natural mean? I think about it. My sister, who's a chemist and did a lot of work for Henkel in chemistry, she said, it's not natural if it doesn't come from the ground directly under my skin or directly to my mouth. So I think the key around sustainability is, how are you sourcing it? Are you cutting your carbon footprint? So I think it's, how are you challenging yourself? And I think Cert B has done a really good job setting that standard. And then, we look at adding some organic cotton pieces into our line, and we call out sustainable. But I think it's starting to blur, where I think people really want the best, ingredients, or let's call it fabrics. So that's where we're looking at it. And I think even another thing that's interesting is, in our category was always about change every 30 days your loofah. And just so you know, this is the #1 unit selling item in pretty much every store in the world, because it's just, around the store, it's low price. And the thing that we think about is just, how do we, get people, like the consumers asking us, can I wash it? I don't want it to be thrown out every 30 days. Thankfully, we're a textile. People can wash our product. So those are the angles that we're seeing, is like, well, hey, we want it turns and doing that, but the consumer is not looking for something that they want to throw away in there. So those are the things that we're seeing, and we're trying to stay, ahead of it. But I think it's always going to be a challenge, and someone's always going to be able to poke a hole in what you're doing.
There still must be other opportunities that you see, other places in the store, or perhaps other merchandising approaches that you think would benefit the category and the consumer.
For entrepreneurs, like learning, it's like when you're really good at it, you become important to the retailer. And so when we look at our Nielsen today, we're like, wow, we still have so much more market share to grab in this space. And I say because we're proving most of this category has been a commodity category. It's private, it's all private label. So we're proving a brand exists and it helps the category grow. And so those are the things that, we're really, proving in there. And I think it's how do we keep driving? And I think for us, we want to see continued off shelf and what we do partnering with more of the body wash brands, because we really see it becomes an incremental basket buy for the retailer, and they're getting, two, and even the data that we're getting is showing that, performance for marketing end caps and partnering and doing us as a giveaway rather than discounting really has helped even the body wash brands have some of their best performance. So, those are some of the areas. And then we're always, where else can we look to bathe? So we're looking at, baby, kids, those areas where we, again, think we can, provide a solution in bathing. Because even when you look at the Korean culture, they start the exfoliating process, which I consider the number one exfoliating market. Even the Turkish might say their market, but like at the end of the day, they're exfoliating their kids at age 2. That's when they're using it. Where, here in the U.S., people are using a softer washcloth and doing some things. So, we're not going to be looking at exfoliating babies, but there is definitely a piece that there's cultural, and we want to, always try to bring innovation.
So it sounds like you're helping retailers elevate this category, getting people to trade up and build loyalty, I guess, yes?
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting time. I think we have some interesting challenges because I see this economic headwind of, where is the consumer going to be able to spend if we continue to see high cost, but they are willing to elevate if they see the product last longer and there's still like an affordability component. So what we see ourselves in that masstige component and do it. We're not going to be the price driver where in terms of, that best cost to like what private label does. But I think we're seeing the consumer spending for stuff that they see quality and last longer. So I think it's what's that value proposition you're bringing is part of the challenge that we see, because I don't know about these headwinds. I think the consumer has been seeing it for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's creating now. We're really excited about to be playing that value prop that we're leading those areas, but still elevating, right? So I think what is elevation and what's that cap, and does a customer see that? Because I still think that's going to be an important question as we go into, I think, this next phase of understanding where the economy is going.
Mm-hmm. And do retailers grasp the importance of your mission and what you're doing in partnership with them to build this category?
We're very grateful for our retail partners. That's why, we talk about omni-channel. They're such an important piece. Talking to a lot of the emerging brands, even though they're doing well online, they still know it's important to have the retail. It just gives more credibility to the brand. But when we look at the mission, that's where they've really stepped up. And, just a huge shout out to HEB, who's been a pioneer with us for 8 years during, Blind Awareness Month during October. And we're now partnering with P&G on this partnership. So we do a whole event for the month of October where we donate a percentage of the profits to the Inspiration Foundation. Inspiration Foundations, we work locally in the community to see what we can do, and we fund tech training programs. So we're partnered with VibrantWorks, and we've donated over $250,000 to that community and what we've done, and we've really gotten the stores behind it. And what we really think is the next opportunity as we work with the Inspiration Foundation. We are the first company to certify with this seal, since we hire 29 individuals with disabilities at our facility. So we really want to see that opportunity where we can showcase other brands that are hiring people with disabilities. And so we're even having conversations of like, well, how many brands would be willing to come together and showcase that? And then on the other side, we see for the brand that's looking to partner with this community, there's over 63 million people that have a disability. That's 1 in 4 Americans. Then you got to include their friends and family. So well over 100 million people. And only 1% of marketing is being marketed to the disability community. So it's a huge segment of the population that brands could really pick up loyalty, and the purchasing power is over 450 billion. So I think we're really trying to help brands, and I think that's where I think the retailers, as we've been having conversations at FMI and WAFC, where we're having these conversations with retail leaders and even the brands.
Couple final questions for you, Isaac. In addition to concerns about the state of the economy, what other trends are you looking at that will shape the personal care going forward?
Yeah, I think the industry is doing a really good job getting the word out about longevity. Everything from myself as a consumer as well, like, I had children older, I want to be able to be there for them. So I think when we start to see why the consumers finding these health and wellness pieces, like it's about that longevity. So there might be areas that they're cutting out, but there are other areas that they are seeing that they're trying to, have this longevity piece that I think we're seeing. And I think that's where we want to continue to play, with that, in terms of the health and wellness. And then I think, just continue to see purpose-driven brands. I think it's so important out there, and seeing different ones, talking about issues. I go back to, Craig Dubinsky at Happy. I love that he's now doing mental health. I think it's something that is a big topic out there, and just using a brand and a product and a marketer like him, it's really exciting to see that brands are bringing stuff to the forefront. So yeah, I think you're going to see those purpose-driven brands winning, and then how do you play into that longevity play?
You've talked quite a bit about the importance of working with retailers. As you look to the future, as you look at these trends, what more can Cleanlogic do with its retail partners to, win the consumer and earn the loyalty of the consumer?
I think that's where we're working hard as a brand to really see this mission. I go back to what we talked about, connecting with the disability community. I think we have something very unique. We're building, a larger way to bring our community together. That's through our media company, and we, did our podcast, but we're building so many, pieces to building this large community that we talked about. So I think it's how do we help get the retailers that are already doing it comfortable talking about it and showing them the success. So I think, that's where we're trying to do our part. And then, all the basics that you're doing, the blocking and tackling, promoting, how do we, work the omni-channel, how do we look to build baskets? I think, those are going to be, some of the challenging things that, the blocking and tackling will get through there. But I think where we see the bigger, broader, it's like, how are you playing in your community? And I think that's what's going to help win in the omni-channel environment or digital environment, is that you still have roots in the community.
Mm-hmm. Well, Cleanlogic has a great story, and we appreciate you filling this in. Always good to see you, Isaac. Thanks.
No, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.